I the a-hole for exposing my son's future stepdad and causing my son to resent him? My son is 17 and I co-parent with my ex-wife, and I'm not married nor I am seeing anyone. I'm just focusing on work and providing for my son. My ex-wife, however, so far dated 3 guys who are just not nice. The third one, Anthony or Tony, is a somewhat decent guy, but can act self-centered and is selfish in a lot of ways. He stated that he's not interested in being any competition to win my son over, and just wanted to be a positive role model in his life. I said, why not, as long as it's bringing positive influence. I work in a highly demanding job, and so I'm mostly absent from holidays, weekends, birthdays, etc. It's unfortunate, but my son understands and we're close enough spiritually, so that makes up for the distance. His birthday was days ago. I couldn't attend, but I already sent him a pretty cool, a bit expensive, wristwatch, and it was supposed to arrive 2 days before his birthday. I called my son to ask if he received it yet, and he said no. I was so confused that I went to my ex-wife's house to inquire about this matter. She said they didn't receive anything, and Tony said the store must have gotten the wrong address, and then suggested I just buy another watch from another store if I had no time and had work to take care of. I checked with the online store from which I bought the watch, and they assured me that the watch was received, and showed me proof which was a signature allegedly from my ex's brother. My ex's brother swore he didn't receive anything, nor was at his sister's house at the time. So I had a talk with the person who delivered the watch, and he described the guy at 5'4", with short hair and clean-shaven face, wearing red t-shirt who said he was my ex's brother. I figured it was actually Tony, so I told my ex and she and him denied it. I demanded to check the front door cam, and there he was, taking the watch and re-entering the house. My ex and my son were shocked. I mumbled, so much for a positive role model. Tony started stuttering, then said he was just keeping it for my son till his birthday. My son said he saw him wearing a new watch when going out, but couldn't outright confront him, and Tony obviously wasn't planning on giving it. I said he was planning to steal my gift for my son, and he swore this wasn't the case, but my son said he won't speak to him anymore. My ex said I just drove a wedge between my son and his stepdad by justly accusing him of stealing the watch. It now made my son hate him when I should have discussed this privately. I said my son deserves to know what his future stepdad did, and that he should have given the watch to my son the minute he received it. They still insisted he was just keeping it. I later learned my son no longer wanted to spend his birthday with his stepdad and went to his grandparents to celebrate. My ex was livid, saying Tony got excluded from our son's birthday, and it's because of me, and demanded I clear the confusion. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. How pathetic of a man to steal a birthday gift from a teenager. Even more pathetic that the mom is so desperate for a man that she let him get away with it and blamed Opie. The mom is so delusional that she really believed this lie Tony told about keeping the son's watch to give him later. Like, who are you to keep the gift? Who are you to decide when your stepson gets his gift from his father? What a weirdo. Got caught stealing, and now the ex-wife blames the father for exposing her loser new husband? Not the a-hole. The guy stole your son's gift for himself. You did not drive a wedge between him and your son. He did that all by himself. Did you really think this would not get out? Your wife seems to be deep in denial if she really believes the story that her boyfriend was just keeping it for him, especially since you already told your son about the gift. The guy got caught in a series of repeated lies, including forging his brother's signature and lying it had gotten delivered. This wedge between him and your son is of his own making, because he is a thief. Yep. If he had been genuinely just keeping it for the son, he had like half a dozen opportunities to say, oh hey, yep, don't worry, I've got it. And he wouldn't have been wearing it. Even if he opened it, which he shouldn't have worn it. It was probably addressed to the son, so he not only opened it, he kept it and wore it. This dude deserves no consideration in trying to preserve his image to the son. He's a thief and a liar. They insisted he was just keeping it. Did you ask to see it? If it was in the original packaging and it opened, they might have a case. If not, then they can't really deny they were just keeping it for your son. And if they were doing that, what's with the lying and stuff? Why wouldn't he just let you know he was holding on to it till your birthday? In addition, Tony said the store must have gotten the wrong address and suggested I just buy another watch from another store. Why would he suggest you buy another one if he was just holding on to it? I can't believe your ex is in so much denial about all these obvious things that shows that Tony is just a lying thief. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister it's not my fault she didn't want for her kids to be happy about her remarrying? My sister got married 2 weeks ago today. She lost her first husband 18 months ago to cancer. They had my nephew Tyler, 11, and my niece Kaylee, 10, together. Tyler and Kaylee have been lost since their dad died, and became even more lost when they learned their mom was dating again 9 months later. My sister did a lot of grieving before her late husband died, so nobody was too surprised when she was ready to find someone fast. We all kinda thought she might wait longer to talk marriage though. But after 4 months, she was engaged, and the kids were not okay. They have cried on my shoulder several times because they don't get how their mom could get married again, and they don't get what they're supposed to like about the new guy. My nephew even said he doesn't get how he's supposed to love him and think of him as a new dad, or even a new member of the family, when their family was so good before, and now they'll never have a good family again. I have reassured them the best I can. My sister and I lost our brother years ago, and I know the scars a loss leaves. But since I never lost a parent, it's hard. I was in charge of the kids at my sister's wedding, and it was rough. Both of them walked away from the ceremony to stand outside and cry, and my sister was pissed at me about it because I was supposed to keep them in the wedding and stop them from making a big deal out of it. But I couldn't make them stop crying. All I could do was comfort them and try to cheer them up somehow, but man, it's hard. Those kids are devastated by the marriage, and I mean they are in so much pain because of it. My sister confronted me a few days after the wedding and told me I should have done more. That I let the kids spoil the day and make a scene because everyone there heard them crying and saw them leave. She said that as her brother, I should have worked to make her day perfect, and that I need to be more supportive of her and help the kids accept the changes and be happy for her and the family. I told her it's not my fault she didn't wait for the kids to be happy about her remarrying, and I don't have a magic wand to make them happy. That they need therapy and time. She called me unsupportive, judgmental of her decision, and said I lacked compassion for her loss, her grief, and her need for adult love. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She has made a new relationship a priority over her kids, them dealing with her grief. The fact that she's a grown-up and did her grieving long before her husband passed away doesn't mean the kids did. There is something seriously wrong with her priorities if she thinks her kids made a scene and caring about having a perfect day, rather than the fact her kids are having such a hard time with everything. What she did has won the game of who's going to the retirement home. I don't understand how someone doesn't get their kids' approval, and if they decide to marry someone. Even my narcissistic mother asked me if there were any grievances first. Not the a-hole. The kids need therapy. She's absolutely prioritizing herself over them, and it's oof. They're gonna resent her and hate her husband in no time. I agree they need therapy to help them cope with everything that's going on. But I hope Opie's family explains to sister that therapy won't necessarily fix their feelings about her relationship, or with her and stepdad. The aim should be to get the kids as mentally well, resilient, and stable as possible. But too many AITA posters parents seem to think therapy will be a magic wand to get the kids to accept the new dynamic. I wouldn't even have gone to the wedding. She has the right to get remarried, as you say. She started grieving before her husband died. But getting remarried 18 months later when the kids are still grieving and are vocal about how they're struggling with everything, she's going to be hated by her kids. And as soon as they're going to be able to, they're going to leave and cut ties with her. She could have had adult love and still respected her kids in the time they need to grieve their father. I really don't get people like that. She's mad about them crying for one day, but that's nothing compared to a lifetime of resentment the kids will have for her and her new husband. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my husband out for lying about our baby's gender? My husband, male 31, and I, female 29, are expecting our first child together. We plan to have 3, by the way. Ever since I got pregnant, my husband's been saying he wanted our first child to be a boy. I don't know why. He never cared in the past. It is the type to treat everyone equally. But his reason was that he was the first child, boy, in the family, and so it'd be lovely if we followed the tradition. I didn't take it seriously. Because honestly, that's ridiculous, but harmless. So why not let him just express his wishes? But later I found out he was telling the family it was going to be a boy, and that he had a hunch and he was 100% certain and positive about it. He kept saying the same thing over and over that I had to tell him to slow down, because even if he didn't know he was going over the top, he was still giving the family false hopes. He promised to stop, but still says he had a strong hunch, and that I'll see that he was right all along. We found out our baby's gender this past week, and it's a girl. My husband admittedly seemed a bit upset. but he said it's because this was not what he was expecting. Even said he wasn't sure about the ultrasound results, which is a bit much. Anyway, we got home and he stayed on his phone for hours. Then in the evening, I started getting calls from family congratulating us for the baby boy. I felt confused, so I asked my mother-in-law how she found out, and she said my husband made the announcement on his Facebook. I was upset, so I checked his page with my phone and saw it. I wanted to talk to him about his lie, but first I made an announcement on my Facebook and announced that it's a girl, then called my husband out for lying to his entire side of the family. He apparently saw it instantly and came into the room looking angry, asking what I was doing. I asked why I lied to his family about our baby's gender. I decided it was just a temporary lie, till I could slowly get them to think it'll be a girl. I said this was illogical and unfair for our daughter. His phone rang, and he freaked out, demanding I take the post down because his family are beginning to see it and are calling. I refused, but he got more pissed, saying we should be discussing this privately, not calling each other out on social media for everyone to see. He told me to take it down, but not until it takes us down, which he called petty and passive-aggressive. Then he stormed off, saying he won't be answering anyone's calls, after I sent them to harass him with what I posted on my Facebook instead of talking to him privately. Am I the a-hole? Wow. Red flags. Not the a-hole. I hope your child grows up loved. This is incredibly weird behavior. I'm so sorry. I hope your daughter never finds out he acted this way. He may need counseling, honestly. I don't even need to vote. You and literally everyone else in the world knows your husband is being delusional, ridiculous, narcissistic, and completely unreasonable. My hopes for him as a father are not high, and this is a huge red flag for your relationship. But his first reason was that he was the first child, boy, in the family, and so it'd be lovely if we followed the tradition. Someone should have explained to him that's not how genetics work. Not the a-hole. He's acting like a child on so many levels here. Openly expressing disappointment about his unborn baby sex. Setting his family up with false expectations. Going behind your back. Doubling down on his first silly lie. Getting mad at you for telling the truth. He's got a long way to go in learning to be an adult, let alone a husband or father. Husband goes behind Opie's back to lie to his entire family, and probably a bunch of other people. Also, husband, I can't believe you'd go behind my back. He also posted on social media, but doesn't want it all in social media. Her husband is giving me a headache. Last story. Am I the a-hole for immediately leaving home when my parents lied to me? My brother Aiden, 20 male, and I, 22 female, have not spoken to each other in over 5 years. These years of silence from his end was because, as my father quotes, I kept making fun of him. Tardiness for school, spending choices, disorganized planning, etc. This is very biased, because it is from my point of view, but it doesn't take away the fact that I still hurt him and it was my fault. However, I don't think it's fair to say that I was the sole contributor to this estranged relationship. There have been many instances where Aiden has acted out, and said/done some hurtful things to me as well. My short height, body hair, driving skills. I have accepted my part in that I was a terrible person and older sister, so I tried to reach out several times within those 5 years to reconcile, but Aiden continued to ignore me, which is understandable. Since then, I left things as they were and tried to move forward with my own life. For the past 2 years, I usually drive home frequently from college to visit, but I finally realized the reason I was unhappy coming home was because 1, the lingering tension and unresolved conflict with Aiden made things difficult, and 2, I was still expected to clean up after him despite the fact that there was no sense of common decency from him towards me, even if I truly deserved it. Early this school year, I vocalized my displeasure with my parents, that if Aiden came home to visit from college, I would not be doing so. It was insulting to me that letting Aiden piggyback off the housework I did felt like I had no self-respect for myself, especially when he has chosen to no longer speak to me and would resort to glaring/sneering instead. So either we visited home separately, or if we both came home together, I would not help around the house for the duration that he was staying. I was firm in my stance, so my parents seemed to leave me be. Come this weekend, about a month and a half into the semester, I first called prior to confirm I would be visiting before I drove up. Just 15 minutes after bringing in my belongings, Aiden comes out of your room with plates of food and drops them in the sink, not before rolling his eyes at me and going back in. A rough back and forth occurred. My parents told me I was being a selfish coward, and that I needed to learn to deal with living near each other instead of breaking the family apart. I countered that Aiden and I never resolved our personal issues, And I was no longer willing to live near someone who wasn't willing to give me the bare minimum. I gathered my things and immediately drove back to my apartment, ignoring calls and voicemails. So guys, am I the a-hole? Not an a-hole, but your parents aren't better than your brother. Even worse. They let your relationship become that bad as teenagers, and now disrespect your stance and wishes. Means they disrespect you as a person, and this can't be fixed by an apology. Now they blame you for the situation they enabled over years. They sound like a complete parental failure. Sorry. Somehow I can see who's the favorite child. Not an a-hole. But your parents are for letting their children's relationship get to the point where they weren't speaking even at age 15 and 17. You needed family therapy about a decade ago, and they were remiss for not getting on it. It sounds like you both made fun of one another in a generalized sibling way. Aiden decided to be done with you forever, and your parents are enforcing sexist chore expectations on you in his favor, despite the fact he's trying to pretend you don't exist. I wouldn't blame you for not going home when he's there, even if he were speaking to you. If you were expected to clean up after a 20-year-old man. They have hands and stuff, usually. He's a 20-year-old male. I guess his hands are tired from jerking off all day. I hope he's definitely not a-hole, though.